Boys, girls, babes, welcome back. Off-season episode of the Jenaya Talks Caps podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us here today, including my two very special guests for today's episode, during which we will be discussing the off-season activity and particularly the free agency period had by our very own Washington Capitals. And the Caps were busy, so we have got a lot to get to today for sure. Lots of exciting news to chat about. And so before we get started here, allow me to just quickly introduce the two gentlemen who will help me break all of this down for our listeners today. We have, of course, got Gil from the Power Play Point podcast, who our listeners should be familiar with already. As Gil, you've been on the show here a few times already before. The people love you, that's for sure. Always lots of positive.
Glad to hear it.
Always lots of positive commentary coming in whenever you're on the show. So really excited to have you back here today. And then joining us today here as well, we have also got Robbie from the Sports on the Hill podcast, a show that I have guested on a number of times before, but this is actually the first time that Robbie has been able to make it onto our show here, which is crazy to say, because like we've known each other now for probably like 15 years, literally.
That's what I was thinking. I thought it was 15 as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was wild. We've done Capitals groups, together, been on Facebook friends for a very long time talking Capitals, and I've always appreciated having you on, and Gil being a co-host for the hockey segment for the last, I don't know, 5-6 years now. So, and I mean, he's been on since the Cup run, so we've been following the team for quite some time together. So it's fun to be able to have the three of us come together and talk about the biggest of off-season news.
Yeah, just saying that out loud just now, I'm like, we've known each other for probably like 15 years. That makes me feel so old. Like that's really aging us right there.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like we became friends through the Capitals back when I was still in high school, and that was
Right.
quite a long time ago. So yeah, Robbie, Gil, like just first of all, how are you guys doing today? Why don't you guys just quickly, introduce yourselves to the people here. Let them know like, what you guys do, where you're coming to us from. Gil, we'll just start with you. Like, what have you been up to? How's your summer going? Have you missed me? What's up, man?
I've definitely missed you. I admittedly, after the end of the Stanley Cup run, I buried myself in the Soccer World Cup, or as the rest of the world calls it, just the World Cup. Been watching that ever since I was 8 years old. Admittedly, a little bit bummed. U.S. just crashed out a few hours ago. But for the most part this summer, since hockey ended, I've been burying myself in that. But keeping an eye on the Caps, and really pleased with what they've done recently. Can't wait to get going talking about all those moves.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm actually still wearing this shirt that I got. I got it for 50% off. Maybe that was a foresight that I should have known when I got it. But America did a good job, trying to get there. I'm happy that the three host nations, I was actually rooting for all three of them. Mexico played a hell of a game yesterday, and Canada also played very well in this tournament, and that's been a lot of fun. But it's been fun to talk sports with both of you guys over the years, including I've actually gotten to cover, this year I'm on, Sports on the Hill podcast is on a break, but we have covered many previous World Cups in years past, and it's always been a fun tournament. One of the very first sports memories I ever had, my dad took me to the World Cup when it was last year, when it was played at RFK Stadium, where the old Redskins used to play. It was cool because it brought back a lot of those memories, and I got to watch this last game with the kids, it was fun. Zach was a little sad. I was like, it's true, but the other team's a better team, and that happens. And so, but it's been a good summer, and a little background on Sports on the Hill podcast. We've done it for about 10 years, and we cover all sorts of different Capitals news, but we also cover all the DC sports teams. So it's been fun. We do take the summers off, but we'll be back when football season and then hockey and basketball season are back as well. And it's been fun to cover we're now on season 11, the last 10 years of Capitals hockey. And we've made the playoffs almost all the years, which is fun. And then, of course, obviously the big run that we had in the Stanley Cup it's still my favorite episode we ever did was the post game for that. We did a call-in show, and Gil and Anna and so many other friends got to join, and the greatest celebration episode ever, obviously. And
I did not join because I was in Vegas, drunk as shit.
As you should be. You're partying with the team. You got to see the team that night, right?
Yeah.
So,
we met up with them as they were like literally bringing the Stanley Cup like out from like wherever in the hotel that they were like that they had it with their families and stuff, and they came literally like out carrying, like Alex Ovechkin was carrying the Stanley Cup outside. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'm happy that we got to touch the cup. One of my favorite pictures is Liz and I stood in line for hours while she was 7 months pregnant, and I was moving the chair along in the umbrella for hours as we like try to inch closer, and we get a picture of us, and she holds a jersey, a little mini Ovechkin jersey to represent Zach. We got to hold the Stanley Cup. And one other note is this summer I'm traveling to Toronto with the kids, and the thing that Zach is the most excited about seeing is going to see the Stanley Cup in person. So I'm excited to get to share that with him, and I get to see Ovechkin's name and all the rest of the team, and be able to see his name written all over the awards room, because that room, that hall with all the trophies, is an incredible thing, and Ovechkin is mentioned quite often in that room. So
he's got to get his own room soon, I think.
Exactly.
He's got that many records.
Right.
Yeah, that'll be such an awesome trip for you guys. That'll be so much fun.
Yeah, we're driving there, which is going to be intense. But we're going to go to Niagara Falls on the way, which I'm excited about, and so that'll be cool. So we're seeing amusement parks along the way. So, and then go to Canada's Wonderland. So.
That'll be so much fun, especially for the kids. Yeah, that'll be fun.
For sure.
Yeah, so I'm just really happy to have you both here. Like, obviously, we've got a lot to talk about here today, like I alluded to, and we will get to all of it, all of the free agency signings and whatnot. And for our listeners, if you do want more extensive coverage of the trades that the Caps made prior to free agency opening, where they acquired both Jordan Kyrou from the St. Louis Blues and then Alex Tuch from the Buffalo Sabres, then you can find more extensive coverage of that in our previous episode. We already pretty much covered all of that. And that episode, it's already available everywhere that you would get your podcast from, including the video version, which is up on YouTube. But yeah, for this episode here, like, let's not bury the lead here, shall we? Like, with the lead obviously being that Alex Ovechkin is back, baby.
Woo!
He is back. Woo! That's like, that honestly made my summer. Like, it was just like, it didn't matter like what else was going to happen that day. That was just, that day was.
I like that he did it on the 2nd. He said that we were gonna have to wait into July, and I was like, oh man. And then Gil and I were talking before on the 1st, and we were like, oh no, did we leave him enough money? Right? We were worried the night before, and then there starts to be reports that, oh no, maybe that it's passed him by, and that's why they made all these moves. And but then the next day we hear the news, and then
Well, it seemed like by Ovechkin that it was like a little bit of a troll job of the media, because like the mainstream media, I mean, not like the Washington DC media, but like, because wasn't it Darren Dreger? He was on Overdrive on TSN literally the night before, essentially announcing that like Alex Ovechkin isn't going to be back, and then the next morning it's like, boom, I'm back. So
which clearly they had to pre-plan that, right? They had to plan that they wasn't going to sign on the 1st because he wanted to give them the opportunity to share all of that, and then he can sign on the 2nd or whatever. But this had to have already been in place. Like, they have not announced the exact timeline, but it doesn't just randomly fall. He said it only took him like an hour of negotiations or less. Like, so like that's
10 minutes. 10
yeah, that's
minutes.
what he says. I mean.
I I love that that came out that like they're like how long did it take you to negotiate this contract, which I'll get to in just a second here.
Yeah.
It's a massive hometown discount for the Capitals.
Right.
But yeah, like he essentially was like it literally took 10 minutes. Like it was just I love that so much. Like so he's not only back, but like he signs a I've got the details right here. He signs a 1 year contract extension, obviously, at a, like I said, massive discount for his Washington Capitals. Like the man scored 32 goals still last season at age 40. He had 65 points. He led the team in both goals and points. And yet here he is signing an extension for a $4.25 million AAV. AAV, for those who don't know, being the average annual value against the Washington Capitals salary cap. So, kind of how all of these contracts work. Like he signs for a $4.25 million AAV, which is less than half of his previous contract's AAV. And yeah, like it's a bonus laden contract, right? So in all likelihood, there will be performance bonuses that go on to next season's salary cap. But
I know the bonuses and I know the structure. Let me stop you for just 1 second.
if he plays 10 games, yeah.
10, but
Yeah.
you only signed for $1 million,
Yeah.
which is pretty much the minimum that you could sign at that veteran contract. He signed for the veteran minimum. As a, like a and like the 3.25 was a bonus for him doing that. But like that's wild to me.
This is the greatest goal scorer in hockey history signing for $1 million. Like, it's insane. I don't care if the guy is 65 years old. He's worth more than $1 million. Like,
Yeah.
it's so crazy to think about. And yeah, like as far as the salary cap goes, like I said, for people who don't really know how it works, because it is pretty complicated, but like it really doesn't matter with the salary cap set to go up so much once again for next season at least. His performance bonuses really aren't going to matter all that much. All that matters is this season's number, and it's pretty clear with this contract that Alex Ovechkin, like we just alluded to, like it's pretty clear that he basically told the team, do whatever you need to do via trades and free agency to make this team better, to make this team a legitimate contender. And I will take whatever's left over at the end of the day, right? That's pretty much what happened here. Like Robbie just said, like he waits until they're going to do whatever they're going to do on July 1st. They had already, like we said, made a couple of pretty big trades prior to free agency opening. So he essentially sits back, is like, I'll let you guys do whatever you need to do in order to improve the team to make us a legitimate contender for the Stanley Cup. And then I will take whatever's left over once you guys are finished paying everyone else. So like that is a captain. That is a man who wants to win. Like I love that so much from Alex Ovechkin. So yeah, Robbie, Gill, whoever wants to go first here, like just give us some first thoughts on this deal, on Alex Ovechkin coming back. First of all, returning for another season, which will be his 22nd season in the NHL. And obviously with all of them being with our Washington Capitals, we are so blessed. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Your initial reactions? Like how excited were you when this news came through? Were you doing cartwheels like I was? Like just how did you feel when this news broke just the other day?
I'm gonna let Gil go first.
I doubt they're listening, but I got 4 words for Pittsburgh Penguins fans. Sidney Crosby would never.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Isn't
true.
it funny, Gil, how the selfish Russian is the one to take a deal for $1 million only? Yeah. It's funny how that works.
1 million in salary. 1 million. and they have the nerve to brag about, oh, he just takes that flat 8.7 that vanity contract of his, that 8.7 million, because he wants to keep the team competitive. He wants to keep all the guys, make sure all the other guys on the team get paid so they stay competitive. Sure.
You know, it's a lot less than 8.7 million on the salary cap, 4.25. It's a lot less. A lot less.
I couldn't believe it because I was starting to get worried because Gil was starting to get worried, and I was like, I don't know if you signed for $4 million.
It just seemed too low to me. Way too low.
Yeah.
I honestly I don't know. I still thought he was going to sign, honestly. Like that was my honest gut feeling was I was like, he's just going to take whatever's left. I still couldn't believe it, like when it actually happened. Like I was like, I can't believe that a guy who has 929 goals in the National Hockey League is signing for that little money. Like that little money in the NHL world, obviously that's a
Yeah.
ton of
But
money.
I mean, compare it to other greats in other sports. People of that caliber are signing single year $50 million in basketball, right? And they're still not the greatest player of all time, right? So like he could have signed for 10 anywhere.
Anybody would have paid him 10, 100%.
Right? I feel like there's not even an argument. The merchandising alone, you sign him for 10 for
Yeah.
next year. Any team in the whole entire NHL. So
Every goal he scores on
is
this
the greatest.
contract is the new all-time goals record. Like that's
Yeah.
any team would pay anything for that
Right.
because the revenue that you're going to get back is like for an Alex Ovechkin farewell tour is insane.
Oh, but I want to mention that farewell tour because I was like, oh, is it going to be the farewell tour? And I was like, I bet you anything he says early on, this isn't it for me. I just signed a 1 year contract. And it's already happened. He
Yeah.
has already said one, maybe two. He's already leaving the door open because he doesn't want a farewell tour. He
Yeah.
wants it to be just, I want to play hockey. I don't want the pressure of the farewell tour. I don't want the pressure of anything that you're trying to put on me. I love that. That just like all you have to do is leave the door open, and then they can't call it a farewell tour, right? That's like
And
like
again, this is a guy who, like the Canadian media especially, loves to tell us like Alex Ovechkin is all about me, me, me. He wants all the attention, while Sidney Crosby's like this perfect little angel child over there. Like, I'm sorry, that's never been Alex Ovechkin. Like, he loves to score goals because it helps his team win games. He loves it even more when his teammates score. Like, that's always been the case. Every Capitals fan knows that. So, that notion has always been so ridiculous, and I think like how he's handling this, like not only the contract extension, taking such a little amount of money for the player that he is in the NHL, and then that combined with, like you said, like he doesn't really want all that attention of like a farewell tour. He didn't want it last season, he doesn't want it this season. He's not that guy, and I don't know. Do you guys think like there's anything serious to that? Maybe 2 years. I do think this is going to be his last season, but I think, like you just said, he just doesn't want people to necessarily think or know that.
I think that there is a real chance that if he scores over 30 goals again, that he comes back. I don't know, like, and if they're closer, if they make the playoffs, get in a round or two, I don't see how we miss the playoffs again. He scores less than 15 goals, then this is it, right? I think that's a fairly easy threshold for me, but 20, I still think he probably comes back. 30, I definitely think he comes back. Anything obviously more than that, like,
I
that'd
just
be
feel
hard
like
for me.
the guy can score 20 goals with his eyes closed, literally.
Right. No, so I do that, and so there is why I think that I'd put it like 40% chance he does another one, right? I wouldn't say it's, yeah, but I wouldn't bet against it. I'll put it that, way. So especially if he can, I mean, 10 games to get $4 million, he's going to get there, right? And then, we see where he goes from there. With other things. So it looks like the contract is going to be like for about 8 million. In theory, but still, it's cool because now what people don't understand, and I didn't really truly understand this either, is they have the ability to have performance bonuses that then scale and go to the next year's cap. So like that way, that we have to deal with that next year, and I could see him triggering one more of those in a similar sort of fashion because we're already hamstring for 4 to take another 4 with a deferred 4, right? And then just kick that can down the road, one more year. So I could see another 1 year contract being able to be written within similar language and similar approach for him to do one more. But I wouldn't go into this year assuming it either, right? So it just depends on how he's doing, how he's feeling, and I think if he comes out of it in a similar situation to where he came out of it this year, where he felt strong about the future of the team and that he was still making somewhat what he's worth, because he is worth $8 million. Like I know that it looks
For
like
32
$4
goals, 65 points. Like, have you seen these contracts they're handing out? Like, he's
million. I know.
definitely worth that.
right. I mean, some of these other contracts that they just handed out by the Capitals,
Yeah.
right, are even, he's not the biggest contract anymore, right? So, which is a weird thing to say because it's never been true in his entire career. But yeah, I'm super happy that we didn't pay John Carlson, though. I know we had a conversation with that on my show for a couple different times. We all liked him. We all hoped he'd come back for a hometown discount. I don't think that was actually ever going to happen. I think that was a lot of wishful thinking. I think he actually felt very blindsided and wanted to go to an East Coast team to maybe, show the Capitals, because I don't. If there's no sour grapes, I don't know if he goes to Tampa Bay, right? I don't know. He just seems like he wants to go to a contender, but also in the East Coast.
I
And
just felt like if it was sour grapes, don't you think he would have signed with Carolina though? After
I
that,
think he just wanted to screw them over. I think that is the most hilarious thing
it
I've
was
ever
so
heard.
funny, dude. So
Yeah,
fucking funny.
because
Like
what they gave up what for nothing, right? There's just the rights to sign him.
they were
They
like,
give
we're
up.
gonna trade this draft pick for his rights, and then he's gonna, of course, want to sign here because like we just won the cup. And he's like, no, actually, I don't want to.
Yeah, yeah, which I think is wild to me. And I do agree that if to some extent I thought that he might sign with them as our, but I don't know. I actually think that Tampa Bay may have a better chance next year. Than Carolina. I know that Carolina just won it. But you know how this is with teams. It's first of all very hard to win it back to back years, and you know that they obviously are going to lose some players, and they lost some goaltending, right? They've already lost some players in that regard as well. But I actually think if I'm going to be a betting person, I think Tampa Bay is potentially a better team next year than Carolina is.
Well, yeah, and if
Uh,
you look at the Hurricanes just won the Stanley Cup, but like, I'm sorry, like, look at the path that they had. Like, they broke it down like analytically, like by the strength of like the team's face, like for the last like I think they did like the last like 15 Stanley Cup winners, and it was literally the weakest path to a Stanley Cup like in the last 15 years.
I mean, the team that they beat had less wins than the Capitals did.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like that's a
The
weird thing to
team
say,
that
but
they beat in the final did not even win half of their games. They won 39 out of 82 games. And then like they played who did they even play in the first round? They played somebody easy in the first round.
I don't even remember.
And
Okay, we watched it and
And then
broke
they
it down,
got
and I forgot.
Philly in the second round, right? Who probably shouldn't even have been there. Like they just had a really easy path. So I don't know. That might sound like I'm just being salty, but it's actually like statistically true. Like they had a
Yeah.
really easy path to the final and to win the cup. So
Which is interesting because, like, going into the playoffs, I thought the Eastern Conference was really strong, but I just didn't. They kind of seemed to wither under pressure. A Buffalo we thought was better than they were, and some of these other teams they didn't fare very well. And I'm just so happy that none of the Pittsburgh team, or Philly, or none of those teams are in it. I really like some of the offseason moves that we've made. I think we put ourselves in a really good spot for being one of the top teams in the Metro next year. And it's gonna be interesting to see. I've seen a million different line constructions already. People's guess of what they're gonna do, and it's tough. Like there's so many different.
tough in a good way though, because
Yeah,
like
yeah, I know. Yeah, but I just where do you
yeah.
put? It's like almost like an
Embarrassment
embarrassment
of
of riches.
riches.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like
There
if
you
you're gonna
go.
have like if you're gonna have like 32 goals, 65-point greatest goal scorer of all time, Alex Ovechkin on your third line, like that's disgusting. Like that's
Right.
honestly so gross. But
Some of
yeah,
those potential line combinations I'm seeing from people outside the team, um, they don't seem to realize Ilya Protas is a center.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's a center and he's not going to be on the fourth line. Like,
Right.
did they watch the few games that he played last season? It doesn't seem like it. That kid is like right
Apparently
away
not.
in the top nine, 100%, probably in the top six. Like he is sick. So I've all these projections I'm seeing have him like fourth line left wing or something. I'm like, that's just not accurate at all. Like that line that they closed the season with, like the two Protus brothers and Tom
Hey,
Wilson,
go
like
back to that. Build on that. That
yeah,
was great. I
that
think we
was
all
a
agree.
nasty line. Like it was, yeah, they can score. They're humongous. Like what's the combined weight of that line? Like 750 pounds. Like it's
Yeah.
Forget about Arby's. They have the meats.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think if think about the younger Protus learning from his older brother and Tom Wilson. I mean, that should be your second line. I don't know. I don't know. Don't take, and then you can construct some other top line with some of this top end talent, and then the Ovi line be your third line, and you're solid, right? I just think
You've got
that
now Tuck, you've got Kyrou, like you've got so many options now. It's crazy.
I know. I mean, and then you've got the young guys as well. Like, how are you? What are you going to do with Leonard? Like, I feel like he could be in a top line position, or maybe he's across from Ovechkin and he learns from him and be on his opposite. I mean, think that's a crazy third line when you think about it. If you had like Strome, Ovechkin, and Ryan Leonard all playing together, right? Like,
I feel like Ryan Leonard, like if he gets the minutes and the power play time, like he can rip 40 this season. Like he scored 20 goals last season and had almost 50 points and he missed a month, right, with that injury. But he just like he got so much better consistently, like as he played more and more games. And to me, he's like he could be the next like Cutter Gauthier. Like he just comes out like for his sophomore season and just scores 40 if he gets the ice time and time on the power play. But yeah, I just think like they've got so many options now. Like I'll just wrap my thoughts on it because I didn't really give my thoughts on the
yeah.
Ovechkin thing. Like, and then we'll move on to the other moves. But so like I would just want to tell like my listeners, like, so the way that I found out that Alex Ovechkin had resigned was Robbie had sent me a text and I hadn't been on my phone all day, hadn't been online all day. And I see this text, and all it says is, "So when are you doing your emergency podcast episode?" And then, like, you sent it just with like a bunch of laughing emojis. And so that made me really nervous. And so naturally, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, like, what did we do? Like, am I going to log in and see we did something insane, like trading fucking Tom Wilson or something? Like, I didn't know what was going on. Because the way that you sent that text, it was like, like when someone, when someone sends you a message and they're just like, we need to talk, right?
Right,
And it,
exactly. If you go to the worst possible scenario,
yeah, and it's presented with like zero context, and then your heart
yeah.
is just like dun 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 dun, 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 like going like
Well,
200 beats a minute, right? Yeah, your mind just goes straight to like the worst case scenario. So yeah, I was really nervous, and then I opened
I
up
added some
Facebook,
drama to it. Gee, it's hilarious. Yeah,
and
I'm
then
sorry that it's so dramatic. That's funny though.
it was so bad. And so then I was super nervous. I open up Facebook, and then the first thing I see was actually the video that the Caps put out initially before actually announcing that he had resigned. And it was just like a very short video clip of a close up of someone who Capitals fans would immediately know to be Alex Ovechkin, someone lacing up a pair of skates with yellow laces, right? Which is, of course, the Alex Ovechkin trademark. And immediately I'm just like, fuck yes, let's go. We all know what that means. Pop the champagne. Alexa, play Shake, Rattle, and Roll, full volume. No, like I was so excited. I could not calm down. Like it was literally like Christmas coming to us in July. It was amazing. Like even though I felt in my gut that he was going to resign, I was like, I don't know. I was just like a little bit nervous about it because I said even to a few friends, like I'm like my buddy who's an Oilers fan, for example, like I'm like, it's just so weird. Like I keep like forgetting about it because it's summer, but then it's like, but then I'll just randomly like I'll just be like outside doing something or like walking the dog, and I'm like, oh my God, Alex Ovechkin doesn't have a contract. Like it just like popped into my head. Like it's so weird. Because he's never not been a Capital like forever, right? Like it's been so long.
He
Like
was a free agent for a day, but he
for a day,
wasn't
yeah,
technically. Yes, I
for one
forget.
day. He was a free agent for the first time in his career, which is nuts. And like I was also super nervous because like I had said something on air previously about like it was something along the lines of like if he being Alex Ovechkin were to score 30 plus goals and then retire after just having had another 30 plus goal season, that I would eat my own shoe or something along those lines. Like so I'm probably like the happiest Caps fan of all that he's coming back because number one, I absolutely love the guy, and number two, I have no fucking clue how I would have been able to eat my own shoe. So, thank you, Ovi, for saving me from that one. Yeah, the guy has just done nothing but come through for me time and time again my entire life. My entire life. Like it's just, yeah, I love the guy so much. But yeah, I don't know why I said that on air or how I would have made that happen. So I'm very glad that he is back. That's for sure. So I know, like, do you guys know any Caps fans who aren't happy?
No, I think everybody is. It's so funny though because there is people who would talk trash online, being like, "We don't want him back next year." But even then, the second that he announces that he's back, because he instantly makes the team better, right? Like, I'm sorry, like you could put him in, and now you've got all these players that you can put around him in Swiss Army blade roles, and I know in a minute we'll talk about some of these other ones, but hearing Spencer Carberry talk about the options that he has
Yeah.
and how he can play other people in other positions will now make those few moments with Ovechkin that much stronger. He can go 0 to 100 in these fewer moments, so that way they're more impactful. And that's an incredible gift that we have. That I think potentially in the entire time that we've covered this team and talked about this team together, this might be the best Capitals team on paper going into the season in 15 years, right? I just because we have a lot more options, and I know that there were some President's Trophy winning teams, but I just feel like some of these players, we have former captains of other teams joining us to play potentially on our third line, right? Like it's just
And we have right now, I believe it's like they already have like I think it was like 7 of the 9 who are like projected to be in their top 9 this season have already had 30-goal seasons in the NHL, and then the 2 who haven't are Ryan Leonard and Ilya Protas, who are both gonna score 30 like at some
yeah.
point. So it's like, yeah, I'm seeing like all these like just like analysts from other teams and whatnot just saying like this is probably legitimately like they have the deepest top 9 probably in the entire National Hockey League, like on paper, projected for the upcoming season. Like they might not have like like the 120 point guy or whatever, but like their depth through their top 9 is so insane that like they're just going to have 3 lines that they can just roll, who can all 3 of those lines can score pretty much at will. So
And that's what we needed the most, I think that was the thing that we're missing is we get one injury and the whole entire
yeah.
season tailspins. And we saw that last year with Pierre-Luc Dubois, right? He goes down and sort of did an incredible job standing in. And, all credit to him for keeping us even close to making the playoffs. But it just was enough of a drop off that we squandered an entire month of points, and that was the difference.
They were
And
also like they were in first place, I believe, when Ryan Leonard went down, right?
yeah.
And that was in December, I believe. And then he missed that month and it just like it fell off a cliff. Like it's like you can't lose one rookie winger and the whole like wagon just goes over the side of the cliff. Like that's you can't have that. So I think to your point, like they're much more injury proof now. They have like an embarrassment of riches, basically. Like they just have so much at every position up front now that it's like we should be able to afford a few injuries and still be able to have enough guys to put the puck in the net. So yeah, I mean other non Alex Ovechkin free agency signings made by the Caps, like the 2 biggest ones obviously were Boone Jenner, right? Formerly the captain, like you alluded to, Robbie, of the Columbus Blue Jackets. He signs a 4-year deal with our Washington Capitals, average annual value of 5.75 million. And then Vincent Desharnais, big, mean, stay-at-home defenseman, really mean, and he's an excellent penalty killer as well. I think he's pretty underrated in that regard. I watched a lot of him when he was on the Edmonton Oilers, and like he was the reason why their penalty kill was really, really good when they were going to the Stanley Cup Finals. So he was with the Edmonton Oilers when they went to those back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals recently, right? And then last season he was with the San Jose Sharks, and coincidentally, the Edmonton Oilers had the worst penalty kill in the playoffs and were knocked out in the first round. So,
He's like
yeah,
our Brooks Orpik. Like, what I mean? You need
yeah, yeah.
those guys on the team that are create that grittiness and culture. So
Yeah, for sure. And he signs a 4-year deal with our Washington Capitals as well. This one average annual value of 4.2 million. And then there were like some smaller moves made by the Caps as well, both in free agency and via the trade route. They cleared up some cap space with a couple of trades and shipping out both Hendrix Lapierre and Declan Chisholm, and then adding some additional depth in free agency with the signings of guys like Johnny Brodzinski, Justin Hall, Joshua Dunn. But yeah, those ones are more so like depth moves for sure. And so for the purposes of this podcast, we'll just focus mostly on the bigger moves here. And so when we're talking about free agency and the bigger moves in free agency, other than Alex Ovechkin, obviously, who we've already talked about, the bigger moves here in free agency, we're mostly talking about, like I said, Boone Jenner and Vinny Desharnais, right? So Gil, why don't we start with you on this one? Like, first of all, did you like these moves? And if you did, what do you like about them? Or is there anything that you maybe don't like about them? Just kind of give us like where you're at with these signings in free agency for the Caps.
Yeah, totally yin yang for me. Absolutely love the signing of Vincent Desharnais. Been a fan of his for a while. Like his size, and for a guy that big, he actually moves around pretty well. But I think he adds an element that the Caps defense has been sorely lacking in for a long time, and that's his ability to clear the front of the crease, which is, as you said, one of the reasons why wherever he's been, the penalty kill has been so good.
Yeah.
Well, at times, the penalty kill for the Caps stunk the room really badly. So he's instantly an improvement to that. I would be very surprised if the PK does not improve. I can't remember what the percentage was. I want to say it was hovering around 80. I would be very surprised if their PK percentage this year doesn't end up being 86, 87 at least. Hopefully, more
And Gil,
90%.
it trended in the right direction towards the tail end. It was terrible in the middle, and in the end of the season, it got significantly better because of one rookie. I could see a correlation there, so I'm excited about the future of that.
Yeah, it did, and so did the power play. But yeah, that was easily my favorite free agent signing. The Boone Jenner signing. Gotta say, I'm not a fan. I am not. He is. I think the Caps envision him as another Nick Dowd, and if you look at his face-off numbers, yes, he fills the bill that Nick Dowd left when they sent him to Vegas. Other than that, he doesn't really do much for me. His offensive production, what there was of it, it hasn't gone off a cliff, but put it this way, don't expect a whole lot from him. Not that Nick Dowd was some sort of offensive powerhouse, but Nick Dowd at least would get you those timely points and goals. I don't see Boone Jenner doing that. And the thing I really like the least about Boone Jenner is I don't think he's fast enough. I think he's just too slow. There's a dynamic on this team. You look up and down the forward lineup, they can all move. Every one of them has mobility. He does not. I just don't see where he fits in. And so if you're going to pigeonhole a guy like that on the fourth line, which I can't see him spending more time than, say, a Ryan Leonard or and even a Justin Sordiff, or certainly not one of the Protas brothers, certainly not Tom Wilson.
Better not be more than any of those guys. No.
Yeah, you're not gonna play him more than those guys. So he's gonna end up getting third or fourth line minutes. You're paying $5 million for a guy that is maybe gonna get. If you're smart, you're not going to play him more than 10, 11 minutes a night. Okay, he gives you some grit and he'll win you a faceoff when you need it most of the time. But I don't know. I don't like the money. I don't like the term. 3 years from now, he'll be hobbling around and we're still going to be throwing, what is it? By then, it'll be like 5% of the cap. Thank God it'll gone up by then. But I do not like that signing at all. I just don't think he makes them better.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm just looking at the projected lines, and they were having him potentially between Leonard and Kyrou, right? And I think that they could make his assist numbers obviously go through the roof. If they play like we were expecting. But if you're having Kyrou and Jenner's contracts combined, that's $13 million, which is a lot of money that you're projecting on a third line. So we're fortunate that Ovechkin is trending way down on our top line, or however you want to look at it. But like, I hope that line, if you're paying 13 million, actually becomes your first line, right? And the Ovechkin line becomes the third line, and they're able to produce at a clip that is, worthy of them having top line minutes. So if he's able to be a top line minute center in that circumstance, and they're able to move that line up, you would agree with Kyrou and Leonard, if they're producing lots of goals, Gil, it's well worth it. But to your point, will that be the case 3 to 5 years from now? Is
I just
or
think
3 to 4 years?
there's no way, like, why the hell would you have him with Kyrou and Leonard? There's no way for me. No way.
Yeah,
Like, he's not like an offensive player at this point in his career. He never really has been, actually. Like, he's had okay like offensive numbers, but he's more of like a physical center, right? And I would argue that like you said, like all of these places that are kind of throwing out their projected lines, they're all forgetting that Ilya Protas is a center.
right.
He's going to be playing center. So I don't even see Boone Jenner playing center. I think he'll take faceoffs for some of the rookie centers, like whether it's like Ilya or Justin Sordoff. He'll probably step in for like some of those more important draws. But I don't even see him playing center because you've got Dylan Strome, you've got Pierre-Luc Dubois, you've got Ilya Protas, and you've got Justin Sordoff, who ruled at center last season, in his rookie season. So I don't. I'm with Gil on this one. Like I didn't like it when it came through. I didn't like it when it was rumored, even before it became real, like even before July 1st, and they were like, "Oh, the Caps are linked to Boone Jenner." I was like, "Why? Why? Like, why do we need to?" To me, that's one that like they just should have quit while they were ahead and just done Vinny Desharnais and left it at that. Like I didn't see the need for this at all. I think it's just I said in the group chat, I believe, Gil's group chat on Facebook, like it to me it's just like it's an older player. He's 33 years old already, right? I don't understand signing him for 4 years. I don't get that at all. I don't get the money, 5.75 million per season. I think that's way too much for a guy who's probably going to be on he's probably going to be the fourth line left wing. Like that's how the lines project to me. He's probably going to be the fourth line left wing. So it's way too much money for that. And I just don't like it. Like I don't like the 4 years, like I said, because I don't like I could have seen doing it for like a year or 2 years, but I don't like how this is like a 4 year contract and it's just taking another spot away from another young guy because we have more young guys even still coming up, right? Like Andrew Crystal, like I want to see him up with the Caps sooner than 4 years from now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's another spot being taken from another young player, for someone who, like Gil said, is already slow and is only going to get slower as he ages more. So I didn't like this one. The only saving grace for me, the only part of it that does make sense is like I think he obviously will provide some like veteran leadership. Like he's a former captain of Columbus. So that makes sense to me. You pay a little bit of money for that, but yeah, to me the term and the money and the fit and like really just all of it doesn't make sense to me. So I'd love to be wrong. I hope he scores, you know.
Yeah, but I'm also envisioning like you throw him with like a Tom Wilson and a Protoss on a line though. They've got a lot of potential for puck control and really heavy, play and I could see that line really causing havoc potentially on a team, if you were to throw those three guys together. So somebody that some of those young guys, maybe like an Ilya Protas, could learn from too. Talking about the coachability part of that, and so have a veteran center and a similar style that you'd probably want the younger Protas to play. So
That's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
know.
Like that's why I would have liked it for like a year or two. Like
Yeah. No, I see.
there, but 4 years, it's like it's just way too much. I didn't
Yeah.
understand it.
I wouldn't be surprised if eventually we move that contract. I don't know if we'll actually see all 4 years of it. So
I can't see them. I can't see him playing out all 4 years. Now, a little bit of money puck, trying to be glass half full about it. if he winds up taking upwards of 1,100, 1,200, that kind of number for draws, that many faceoffs and wins, say, I don't know what his average was last year, but if he breaks out at 52, 53% or higher, I think at to some extent they will have gotten their money's worth out of that, because you are probably going to see him a lot taking defensive zone draws, key defensive zone draw when there's 2-3 minutes left in the game, something like that, and they're 1 or 2 goal lead. You're going to see him out there a lot taking that draw. I guarantee it. And more often than not, he'll win it. He's that good. But other than that, yeah, it's like you both said, it's a little too much money, a little too much term, but every little bit helps, and if that makes the difference this year and next, then that's good enough. But overall, not exactly Chris Patrick's best work, but we'll see.
Not one to write home about, really. Like,
Yeah.
I do like that. The one thing that they were talking about with all these new players that we have gotten, and including this one, is their versatility, right? That they can play up and down the line, they could play center or wing, and the coach seems to not even really care about whether you have a right shot or a left shot. I know that used to be a big part of the Capitals' philosophy, and there is some thought to that, right? I understand why coaches like to do that, but he was laughing because half the time he said this in his talk that he gave a couple of days ago, that he often slots Ovechkin on the right side, and then he's moving him around throughout the game, but like he's been always talked about as this quintessential left wing guy and always playing left wing. He doesn't announce that he's shifting it around, but he doesn't care if he's got a lot of right wingers or left wingers on the lineup. He's going to find ways to get everybody involved, switch them up. And I think potentially if they can gain chemistry across lots of lines, if we look back to what was so successful in 2018, was that we had a lot of players that could play up and down the line and play impactful minutes. You look at, Devontae Smith-Pelly, right? He becomes the hero of 2018 in a lot of ways. And can this guy fill that kind of role? Play down when he needs to, play up in the most important of times, make important, face-off draws and things like that. And so that's the part that's like yet to be seen, but it makes me hopeful that we have these players that can hopefully be played in a lot of positions. And I actually hope the coach tries to deploy them in a lot of positions so that way come the playoffs, if he has got to rearrange the lines, it isn't devastating, right? And, there's that sort of the culture and creating this vision that everybody plays together and plays a certain style of hockey that is conducive, and the players are saying that they get to play their brand of hockey, that they're not put in a box, that the coach does a good job of letting all the players play to their strengths in the way that they want to play, still within the system, but it's not like he's expecting everybody to be a cookie cutter player, in his design. So I like that, and I'm hopeful that maybe he can inspire some of that leadership that we desperately need. Because I kind of, we talked about leadership in the room last year, and I think it's a great culture that we have. But I'm not sure that we had, other than Tom Wilson and Ovechkin and a couple other guys, we need more of that in the room to try to like get them into it.
Well, because they do have I don't understand like why the media is like stuck on this narrative from like 2-3 years ago of that the Caps are an old team. They're not an old team anymore. Like they're actually a very young team. They're, I believe, the eighth youngest team in the league now. And that skewed a lot, even like they're skewed a lot older than they actually are because of Ovechkin's age, right? So like that's just one guy though. Like their most of their players are younger, right? So I felt like they did need, especially like they, after trading John Carlson and Nick Dowd, like those are two guys who were two of your like primary leadership kind of guys, right? Like in the leadership core there. So I felt like they did for sure need to add some more of that because they do have a lot of young guys. So that's the part of the Boone Jenner one that makes sense to me. I think Vinny Desharnais should be good in that regard as well. By all accounts, he's a great locker room guy as well. So yeah, that part of it makes sense to me. The face-off part makes sense to me. Like we definitely needed some face-off help last season, and especially with trading away Nick Dowd. So that part makes sense to me. It's just to me, it's like I don't know. It's just I get what Robbie's trying to say, where you're like a line of like maybe Protus, Jenner, and Wilson. But then I'm like, to me, my holdup with the contract is like, but we didn't need him in order to have that line because we could just do Protus, Protus, Wilson. Like to me, they already had so much up front that like paying almost $6 million for this guy just didn't make any sense to me, especially over 4 years. But I don't know. Like I said, I'd love to be proven wrong. Like I hope he's gonna turn into Devonte Smith-Pelly in the playoffs. That would be that would be amazing. Yeah, we'd all be pretty stoked with that. And yeah, I didn't really say anything on Vinny Desharnais, but I'm with Gil on that one too. Like I really like that signing. I think probably like it's a little bit of an overpay for what he brings, but I mean that's kind of just what you have to do to get players in free agency, right? By all accounts, there were quite a few teams who wanted this guy because he is such a big, tough, mean defenseman, stay-at-home guy, great penalty killer, like we said. So yeah, I think like that's just kind of what you have to do in free agency. You do always have to overpay a little bit, it seems, and I don't think it's that big of an overpayment. And I think like he's right in his prime. Like it's the 4 years is fine for me on him. He's 30 years old right now, I think. So yeah, he's got some good years left in him. And yeah, like I said, I watched a lot of him with the Oilers, and he is a really, really, really good penalty killer. So he should really help with that, which like you said, Robbie, like the penalty kill trended in a much better direction, like closer to the end of the season, but my God, was it bad for most of the season, like for the first half or the first 2/3 of the season.
Both of our special teams. I mean, if we had even
Yeah,
average both of our special teams, we would have made the playoffs last year. We
even
were like,
average,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's just crazy.
Average special teams, and we would have been probably a 110-point team. So it's yeah, we needed some help with that one for sure. So I think he'll help in that regard for sure. And I also love the idea of him being on a pairing with Cole Hudson, just because it's like nobody's gonna mess with the rookie Cole Hudson when Vinny Desharnais is on the other side, right? What is he, like 6'7" or something? It's like
Six
The,
seven.
like
the
almost 7
size
feet
of
tall.
this
Yeah.
team, the
Yeah.
forward lines that I've seen, I mean, this might be the biggest Capitals team in history. Like, I haven't done the full math,
It might
but
be the biggest NHL team in history. Like it's humongous.
yeah.
Everybody's talking about that right now. Like it's like all of their forwards pretty much are like 6'4" or taller. And like then you add Vinny Desharnais on the back end, who's like 6'7". It's
When Ovechkin's your average size height guy, like that's a scary line. So like that's
yeah,
it's
they're gonna have a few like 700-pound lines. Like it's pretty crazy. I wouldn't want to be running into that in a seven game playoff series. So yeah, I like the way that they've built the team here. Like obviously they're huge, but to me, like the thing is too, like all of these guys are huge, they're massive, but they can all skate, like Gil said. Like they all have a lot of speed. They're all really good movers out there. So it should be a lot of fun to watch.
I'm
Um,
excited for an 84 game season. We haven't really talked about that we get 2 extra games.
Two more recap videos I have to do. Do you know how burnt out I am by the end of the season? Oh
Well,
my
they said
God.
they're going to split them up a little bit. We're not going to have the crazy. I mean, this year with the Olympic break for 3 weeks, the games
Yeah.
were so condensed. It was brutal. I mean, we had four
Not help.
games every week on our show, and you used to have three. So like that's a lot for all of us doing the. But I'm excited to see whether that helps or hurts this team, or how that has an impact on other teams in the league, because the East and the Metro was so close last year, and so it'll be interesting to see how us having a little bit more reserves and a little bit of a better team across the board. I felt like in previous years we had higher top end talent, but then like it dropped off very quickly. Where I feel like the fact that we're having so much trouble even figuring out who's going to be on what line, I know that we're very far away from any of that, but like, I think it says, the average player has risen up tremendously, and I think that that'll be great for some of those young players to see and be a part of that new culture and that physicality. And I'm really so excited. I'm just so sad that it's so far away,
I
right?
know.
So,
They make all these moves and then it's like, okay, now you got to wait for three more months still. Yeah, and Spencer Carberry talked about that too, right? Like just the other day, he was like, he was essentially just saying how it'll be really good for the team as a whole having all of this new depth as well, because like it'll allow the minutes of some of these guys to come down a lot, right? Like Tom Wilson played a lot last season. Like his minutes can come down. Ovechkin's minutes can come down. Like they're not going to have to rely on him for all of their goal scoring anymore, right? So it's going to be good that way, I think, because a lot of guys, and like you said, with an 84 game schedule, and then you want to still have some juice left for the playoffs as well by the time that you get to the end of the regular season. So I think it'll be good just in the way that like they can spread the minutes out a lot more, and everybody can like they're probably going to have four lines that are all playing around 15 minutes, right? So
and that's got to create matchup nightmares for the other team, right? Because like now, if Ovechkin's on your top line, you put your top defense against it, right? Or your top defensive forward pairs, at least you'd want to. Now, if he's on your third line, that screws up all of your thinking, right? Because like, how do you game plan for that?
well, and this is the underrated thing too about like the depth that they've acquired and like all these 30 goal scorers that they have now is like Ovechkin has always gotten the top like defensive pairings and the top matchup lines of the other team. He's not going to now if he's on the third line. Like you're
Right.
gonna have the greatest goal scorer of all time out there against third pairing D. So yeah, I think people are wildly underestimating how many goals he's still gonna be able to score. Because yeah,
And then all that pressure comes off each player
yeah.
simultaneously as like they all take on more on their shoulders, right? So like that will create sort of accountability across the team in a way that everyone kind of just deferred to Ovechkin for many seasons. Like as he goes, we go, right? Like, and then we get some other lucky scoring. And 2018 we talked about Devontae Smith-Pelly, but like other people stepped up. Kuznetsov stepped up, and others did in key moments too, because that's the only way we win a cup. Like Ovechkin, not as how he currently is, isn't going to win us a cup on his back alone, right? And so we need everybody. We need multi 30 goal scorers, so that way we're fresh come time for the playoffs, and that if somebody numbers fall off a cliff, that suddenly the whole team doesn't fall apart, right? That we've got enough other players that can jump in and become difference makers.
Plus, it's just a way better way to build your team. Like, look at who's won the last few cups. Like Carolina, like they just kind of have depth. They don't have any like superstar player. Florida Panthers, they have insane depth. Like they don't have the 150 point guy in Connor McDavid, but like they just have four lines that they can roll, three lines that can score, and they can just put anybody out against anybody. And like it's a better way to build your team because a lot of these superstars nowadays, like especially like this younger generation, like I'm sorry, they're not like the Alex Ovechkins and Sidney Crosbys who would just carry their teams. Like it's not like that in the playoffs now. Like it's just you see like Austin Matthews in Toronto, Tage Thompson. This playoffs, like he's in the playoffs where he turned into Austin Matthews for the playoffs. Like it's just like some of these guys, like they don't do anything out there. Like they score 50 in the regular season and then they turn into a freaking pumpkin as soon as the Stanley Cup playoffs start. So
Well, I think of the teams like the Oilers, that they have these, great, regular seasons, and then and they have players that even make it all the way to the finals, and then he kept on falling short. And I feel like they top end talent. You think of the Colorado Avalanche, like from all when we had this conversation before the playoffs started, we were like, we thought that Colorado winning the cup was like a foregone conclusion, right? I mean, they
wow.
just looked, they looked so dominant, and they didn't even make it to the cup, right? So like, it's so interesting that that's not the best way to construct it. They create optics, great for selling seats, during the regular season and in the playoffs, but eventually it sort of it doesn't pan out in that same sort of way. You need to have that gritty. You need to have that veteran leadership. I think of in other sports, it's true too. Like the Nationals in 2019, they had the oldest team, but they had belief, and they put it on the back that they shared this, that no one person needed to always be the guy that stepped up, and then they were able to, conquer these, more dominant teams, right? So that's how you have to kind of do it.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I guess, yeah, that's we don't really have to talk about the smaller moves. Like we've probably gone long enough here, but anything else that you guys want to discuss before we call it a night? Any other thoughts? Or
I'll let you go.
Joe looks like he's like ready to fall asleep. That's why I'm calling it.
No, I'm fine. So we've kind of touched on it here and there a bit, but probably the most interesting dynamic is going to be where do you put who and who plays with who. The defense pairings probably going to be pretty easy to figure those out. Left, right. Desharnais could probably play on any pair. Just put him on. I'm pretty sure he's right-handed. I can't remember. It just fell out of my head. But yeah, left, right, and you could probably evenly distribute those minutes now that you don't have John Carlson having to go out there and play 25, 30 minutes a night. The forwards, that's going to be very interesting, though. Who are you going to put where? It can be a very good problem, and it can also be a very bad problem. Chemistry can take a while to figure out. I don't think it'll take very long to figure out, but and I'm certainly not trying to pour cold water on all this. I love what they've got, but it may take most of the month of October to kind of figure out who fits best where amongst the four forward lines. And you never know. You also might have an injury and or a rookie that breaks out and it becomes worthy of some time. You might have that thrown in there. So October is going to be very interesting to work out, but I think by the end of October, they should have all of that worked out. It's just going to be interesting who ends up where and all the different line combinations. But also don't be surprised if they end up being fluid for the whole year as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's gonna go similarly to not last season, but the season prior, where like they had like 7 or 8 new players. Like that was when they were introducing like Pierre-Luc Dubois and Jacob Chikrin and Logan Thompson and all those guys all at once, right? They had so many new players, and yet they finished first place in the Eastern Conference over the regular season, right? So I'm hoping it's going to be like that. Hopefully Spencer Carberry can work some of his magic and just make all these new guys fit in right away, because I do think that's like a difficult thing when you have that many new players all at once coming in. So we'll see how long it's going to take. That was the other one point that I wanted to make was it's crazy how many people online, like on Twitter or wherever X, sorry. I still call it Twitter. How many people
I call it.
How many people from other fan bases seem to think that like it's physically impossible for a guy who shoots right-handed to play on the left wing or vice versa? Like what is this obsession with like right-handed players have to be on the right wing and left-handed players have to be on the left wing? Like the Caps haven't done that for many years now. They didn't do it last season. Like you said, with Ovechkin, they're moving him around to the right wing sometimes. But I saw like some crazy thing. Like there was some Rangers, like New York Rangers reporter, self-proclaimed reporter who's like, oh, the Caps have this many right-handed right wingers now. They're gonna have to trade Ryan Leonard. Let's get in there and get Ryan Leonard. I'm like, are you high? Like, what are you like? No, they're
I
not.
like Carberry responded to that too. I mean, he talked about how he's like going to move things around, and I agree. I think that is going to be such a strength for our team, is that we've got so many different options and so many different things that we can do, and I'm really excited about it in general. I mean, I think one thing I wanted to highlight before we ended was I love Spencer talking about how we become a destination that players want to come play for us, and with all the different things that with money and especially in Florida where you could basically get tax free, and and those are pretty strong teams, and for people to say, hey, they want to play with us, even if Ovechkin's not fully signed, because they all had to sign assuming that there's a chance. I know that they think that there's a chance that he is coming back, but there's also a chance that he's not. So it's not just Ovechkin drawing to him, but the locker room culture. They like the coach. The fan base is in a good place. And these are things that are a culture that over the last 10, 15, 20 years we've had to build as a fan base, as an ownership, as a player base. And the fact that we've gotten there over these last 10, 15 years is tremendous growth. I mean, hockey is one of the most popular sports in DC. 20 years ago, not the case, right? And so that everyone should be applauded for, whether you're a fan, whether you're ownership, whether you're a player, because we all build that culture together. If that makes sense, it's not just Ovechkin, and Ovechkin does a lot towards that. And he makes it a fun place to play, and people want to play with him. But it trickles down to all the other players and all the other people that impact the franchise as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a great point. Like, I think their locker room culture has gotten so much attention over these last few years, especially like now with social media and all the like locker room videos and the tunnel videos and everything coming out. Like, there's so much like positive press of the Washington Capitals as a team and like their team culture and their locker room culture. And I think other players around the league, like Alex Tuck said it, like other players around the league, they see that stuff. They're like, man, that looks like a fun place to play. That looks like a really great place to be. And I think we're starting to see that now where Sonny and I talked about this in our previous episode, like with the trades, like because Jordan Kyrou, he had to waive his no trade clause to be traded to Washington, right? Alex Tuck, like that sign and trade never happens if he doesn't want to come here and sign an 8-year deal with us, right? So
And those were going to be some of the biggest free agent possibility players on the market, right? So people don't look at that way. The sign and trade is such a big deal because we got them for under market value by doing that. They would have cost significantly more if we wait 5 more days.
he probably would have been 12 on the open market, like with all the teams coming at him. And he was the top free agent on the entire market, right? Like he was the top free agent forward. And we got that done before July 1st even gets here because he wanted to come here, right? So it's a really big deal, like when you actually break it down and look at like what that actually means, like when guys
Saves
actually want to come
millions.
here. And a
Yeah.
lot of places cannot get free agents. Like if you're like I have some family who are Winnipeg Jets fans, like good luck. Like, nobody, no players don't, free agents don't sign there. They just don't. And a lot of it is like out of their control as an organization because of the weather and stuff like that. Like people don't want to go live there, which I understand it. But it sucks as an organization, right? Because there's not a lot that you can do about that outside of building a winning team, winning culture. Like that can maybe attract some people
Well,
there.
Carolina's having trouble attracting people, and they just won it all,
Yeah,
right? So, like, it's not,
exactly.
yeah, it's not just winning a trophy that gets you that.
Yeah,
So,
Carolina can't get like Carolina hasn't been able to get players like free agents for as long as they've been a team pretty much. Like that's always kind of been a thing for them. So I think we've been like fortunate and we've been blessed in the way that like for the last couple of decades, like we've kind of always been able to get free agents because people wanted to play with Alex Ovechkin. Like he was such a big draw. But now I think it's really encouraging to see, like you said, the growth of the sport, like around the DMV. They have obviously like they do have like really solid ownership. Like they spend to the cap every season pretty much. They're not afraid to spend money. They're not afraid to hand out these big deals. Like they will spend the money to build a winning team. They take care of their players. Like they lock them up to 8-year deals. They pay them. They, outside of the John Carlson trade was pretty much the first one that I can think of that was like somebody who we expected to be here because he wanted to be here and then he was traded, right? Like that was pretty much the first like big name. Like outside of that, it's like look at like with Nicholas Backstrom, TJ Oshie, like all of these guys, like they're like if you want to finish your career here, you will. Because you did this and this and this for us. Like they treat their players very well, and I think that's really important. And then like Sonny and I talked about on the previous episode, I think getting Spencer Carberry locked up to that contract extension, like that multi-year contract extension, was such a big deal to get done before free agency because of what we saw, right? Like Jordan Kyrou waives his no trade clause. Alex Tuck, sign and trade. I want to go to Washington. Like people want to play for Spencer Carberry, and I think we're starting to see that more and more. Like it's becoming more publicly known how well respected he actually is around the league already, even though he's a new, young coach. But yeah,
I
guys
don't
want to
blame
play.
him for missing the playoffs, right? I mean, he's been phenomenal. And
Yeah,
I think what's great about him is he's willing to develop young talent.
yeah,
I look at other coaches in the Washington, D.C. area because, I cover all the different sports, right? And I think that's sometimes a really big struggle for some of the other coaching and staffs of other teams is that they have trouble developing young talent along with, the current stars and all that sort of stuff. So, like, that's becomes a difficult balancing act. And, I think last year we didn't have the talent to overcome some of those, losing, a star center like we did. And it showed. But I think that I don't blame that coach for that. I mean, he was able to get so much out of sort of, right? In that, and you don't, in most situations, there's a much steeper fall off, right? And then sort of wasn't even this incredible player that they plugged in. Like he was a relative nobody, right? And that he was able to get that much out of him. And it's a credit to the player, obviously, but also to the coaching staff for being able to get him prepared and get him into there
and
correctly.
that's what I mean. Like that's kind of what people around the league are starting to notice is like, hey, all of these guys who we all thought were like, locker room problems, like Pierre-Luc Dubois, or like, had bounced around to so many different teams and like their careers were looking like they were maybe going to be done early. Like people around the league are starting to notice every single misfit that we send over to Washington has a career year right away under Spencer Carberry, right? So he's able to get a lot out of players where no other organizations could get that out of them, right? So I don't know. I think he's a great coach. I'm really happy that we locked him up. There was a few people I saw like just because they didn't make the playoffs who wanted him fired, and I thought that was fucking nuts, nuts. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so we will get off here. I think we've covered pretty much everything that we had to, and yeah, it's like you guys are 3 hours ahead. It's midnight there, so I'll uh,
I
I'll let
got
you
in at
go.
3:30 in the morning last night from a trip to Texas on a 2 hour delay, but I slept most of the day, so that was good.
Yeah, by the way, Gil, this was Robbie's fault that this is this late. I was gonna do it earlier, but
Yes, blame me. Well,
totally
blame
his fault.
the U.S. team
It's
for
fine.
being exciting. So
But yeah,
but
so anyone listening, if you haven't done so already, just click on that subscribe button. Whether you're listening in audio only or over on YouTube, watching the video version, so that you can see our smiling faces. The YouTube channel, for those who don't know, it's under the same name, Jenaya Talks Caps. You can find us over there, or as always, you can find us on any of the audio only platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. You guys just again one more time, just let people know where they can find you as well.
sure. I run the Sports on the Hill podcast, and Gil actually is my co-host for the hockey segments. We also have Anna Knox and Jenaya on often as well. We've during most of the season, you can find us at SportsOTHP.com, Sports on the Hill podcast at SportsOTHP.com, and then you can actually while you're on that website, you can click on the podcast partners button and see Gil's Power Play Point podcast there as well, and we love covering all the different DC sports teams. Love covering the Capitals, and yeah, looking forward to another great season. We'll be back in September to start covering the Washington football team, aka the Commanders, and we will then start covering the Wizards and the Caps when they're back as well. So lots of exciting times. Definitely come check us out. You can always check us out at youtube.com/Robbie Gross. Then you can find all of my stuff. If you're interested in scuba diving stuff, I also do a scuba channel, which is called Gross Scuba, which is a lot of fun as well.
Dude, I
I'll be
fall
doing,
asleep to these. These are like
yes,
they're what
yes,
helps me sleep at night. Seriously, I have
yeah,
like sometimes I like really can't sleep because my mind just like I'm like thinking all the time. And when I cannot sleep, I put on one of Gross Scuba's scuba videos and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so relaxing. It just like puts me it's like watching Planet Earth. or
Yes,
something like
that's
that.
the goal. It's like it's supposed
Yeah.
to be like a Netflix or
It's like a
or Nat
free
Geo.
Discovery Channel undersea
Yeah.
one of
Yeah,
the one of those things, like
yeah.
Shark Week without all the
Right, all the
madness.
noise, right? Exactly. So they are calm in the videos and what now, and we're. I have over 10 years of archive footage that I've done on my Robbie Gross channel, but no one ever saw because it was buried under all my sports stuff. And so, by putting it now on this new channel, people are able to see it and watch the shorts and stuff like that. And we do it to music by Dan Tremblay, who's a great musician in his own right and does wonderful stuff. But you can always find me Robbie Gross, also Robbie Gross. You can find that on Facebook as well, or Sports OTHP on facebook.com/sportsothp. We always do all the stuff, even in the off season. We'll do posts and kind of a news organization. But I also enjoy joining Gil on the Power Play Point podcast. But I'll let him explain more about how to find that.
Yeah, so our show is the Power Play Point podcast. You can find us on just about every podcast distributor there is. Thank goodness. Doesn't matter who it is. We've made their list somehow. Um, the show itself is on a summer break. We always take our summer break, but we'll be back. Usually, our first episode is first after the first week's worth of games. So probably first week of October or so is going to be our next episode. We do have a Facebook page that where we keep the discussion going. Try to keep ahead of news events. Concerning the team mainly, sometimes other stuff about hockey um, appears there. We also have, as part of that page on Facebook, a pretty kick ass chat room, if I do say so, named after the show, also Power Play Point Podcast. So if you're not already a member of the Facebook page, please find us on Facebook so that you can have access to that and get invited to our chat room, which we end up talking about quite a bit. Again, mainly the Caps, but it often spills over into some other stuff. The other night, a couple of us, three or four of us, had a heated discussion about how awful the Baltimore Orioles are playing this year, for example. So sometimes it spills over into that. But yeah, all things DMV sports, not unlike what Robbie does. So, but yeah, do please look us up, join us, and we'll see you come October for opening night for our Caps.
Yeah, that group chat gets pretty lit sometimes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Really appreciate you guys being here during the summer for sure. I know it's kind of weird talking hockey during the middle of the summer months, but we've got to do it because the Caps made a lot of moves. So yeah, just thank you all so much for joining us again. Thank you for being here as always. And until next time, babes, let's go Caps.
Let's go Caps.
Let's go, Caps.